afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Stahls TV class all about making stunning glitter hair bows. Today we have Jenna Sackett that's going to be helping us out, making some different bows and hopefully giving you some ideas really just to grow your business, and that's what Stahls TV is all about. So I understand from the poll we have the majority of visitors today that have been to a Stahls TV class before, so welcome back. And we have a good percentage of folks who it's their first time, so welcome to Stahls TV. We have a full live event schedule on stahlstv.com. You can go on, sign up for any class. We have classes scheduled out through the next couple months, so please join us at a future class if you like what you see here. So this is interactive, so the idea is we'll launch some poll questions to you, get an idea of who the audience is today. Jody Edgar is going to help us out with that. And then also there is a chat window or a questions window in the right-hand navigation of your computer screen where you can chat in questions throughout today's presentation. And we'll stop it several times throughout the presentation, take those questions and provide answers in the best way that we can. Or if we don't know the answer, we'll get back to you in the coming days with a response. So to kick things off and understand our audience, let's launch a couple poll questions. So the first one that we need to ask is, have you ever made a hair bow? Pretty simple one with a yes or no. I know I haven't. Hopefully you have. All right, so just take a second to answer that so we know the sort of experience level.
29% yes, 71% no.
All right, so we have some rookie hair bow makers. Hopefully we'll be able to help you out, and for those experienced, hopefully we'll give you some new techniques. The next question is, that's key to our presentation, is do you own a vinyl cutter and a heat press? So if we can launch that, we'll get all the poll questions out of the way up front. And select the answer that is that best fits you and your business.
93% yes, both, and 7% just a heat press.
Okay, excellent. And then the last question for right now is, which of the following markets do you sell to? And please check all that apply. These are some of the top markets that we've identified for hair bows and glitter hair bows in general, so want to see which ones you're reaching today, because it's an easy add-on sale into some of these markets. All right, a couple more seconds.
All right, 79% are dance and cheer.
Okay.
100% are schools.
Okay.
36% retail, and 71% children's apparel.
Good. So that's a pretty good mix, but very heavy in dance and cheer and children's apparel, which is great. Those are the two top markets for glitter hair bows. And so we're going to kind of go through this, and we have an agenda. And if we switch over to my computer screen, Jenna is going to walk us through the steps, basically, to making a bow to kind of lead things off.
Okay, so since the majority of you haven't made hair bows before, we're going to try and make this as simple for you as possible. We're going to start off with the first step. You're going to cut the length of the glitter flake and ribbon to match. You just simply heat apply the glitter flake with the designs that you created to the ribbon. You'll tie the bow in the style that you want, which we'll be showing you shortly. Wrap and hot glue the center of the bow and attach the clip.
Good, good. So those are those 5 steps. So if you want to screen capture that before we switch back to the cam, for those of you that have the snip tool on your computer or the sort of print screen, take a picture of that so you can have the high-level steps, because we're going to jump back on camera and kind of start with step 1, which is cut the length of the glitter flake and ribbon to match. Actually, I'm going to switch over to my software here to talk about that. So since most of you have vinyl cutters, we will kick things off in cadworkslive.com. Of course, you can create vector art and shapes and squares and initials and a lot of different vector graphic programs, but the number one priority is we need to cut our design from the CAD Cut Glitter Flake material. Now, just to catch some of you up, CAD Cut Glitter Flake is our standard heat transfer film that has a lot of different uses. It's used often for customizing t-shirts, apparel, bags, jackets, those sorts of applications. It's also used often as a product for applique, for rip-away applique for embroidery. So a lot of shops keep an inventory of glitter flake in a lot of popular colors. So it's a product that you can cut and use. In this case, we're cutting it on a vinyl cutter, And basically, you just need to know your dimensions. So Jenna will walk through the specific dimensions here shortly, but let's start with the basic bow tie bow. So the width that we're going to recommend for our rectangle cut of glitter for a bow tie bow is 8 inches. So I'm going to check off the proportional sizing. I'm just in cadworkslive.com. It's free to register for you Stahls or Transfer Express customers. And I'm just going to drop a rectangle on the screen and size it. So I made it 8 inches wide. And for the actual height of this particular bow, we're going to use an 1.5 inch ribbon. So I can make it either exactly the width of the ribbon itself, or I can give myself a little bit of leeway, either to the inside or the outside. You'll see once we get to the heat application stage that can be important depending on the final look of the bow that you desire. So that's your call, but basically we're going to set this bow tie up for 8 inches by 1.5 inch wide, and then more or less this is for a single bow tie bow. Now if I wanted to make a duplicate of this, it's very easy. I can just hit edit and duplicate it. And let's say I want to make a larger bow, like a cheer bow or what we're calling a spirit wear bow in today's class. I can make it 3 inches high by 30 or 32 inches long, depending on the length that I want for my particular bow. And you just set up your rectangles like this. Now what I prefer to do is set up one particular design, so I'll delete the spirit bow for now, or the cheer bow. I'm going to save this. Within CADWorks you can save a lot of stuff under your login. So I'm just going to call this a bow tie, and then I'll just save my basic full glitter layout for the bow tie bow. Now of course if you want to put some sort of special pattern in this, there's a lot of different tutorials we have out there on stahlstv.com where we can drop a zebra print or chevron pattern or whatever style we want inside of this block to make a cool effect and cut it and heat press it that way. But in this case I'm going to show you how to do the full glitter block. So basically create it, save that, and then you're going to kick it out of CADWorks to your vinyl cutter driver. In this case we'll use Vector Cut, which sends to GraphTech, roll into a lot of different cut devices, or I can export a vector file in a PDF or whatever file format to send to my cutter. So we'll send it to Vector Cut to keep things simple here. It will download it to the bottom toolbar. For those of you that have seen our CADWorks classes, you know how this process works. And more or less I just have my bow tie rectangle within the cut driver on the page for my material size. And I always recommend check off the auto weed for this, because we don't want to put a box around the box to more or less waste material. What I recommend doing is if you're doing a bunch of bow tie bows, you can set your material width and length, and you can either manually copy and paste these and kind of line them up in the software. You don't need much space in between them. You can run an auto duplicate by selecting one and going to quantity and saying, you know, give me 20 of these with this much spacing in between. So we're creating this. Ultimately, you don't have to worry about mirroring the image or anything. It's just a rectangle, outputting it to your vinyl cutter to ultimately cut your graphics. So something really cool about this is that for those of you that process glitter flake materials every day to your vinyl cutter and you're cutting t-shirts and bag designs, you know that material in general has a cost to it, and it's based on how much you utilize. So if you're cutting a run of t-shirt graphics and you have an extra, let's say 2 inches on the side of the roll that you're not able to utilize or nest up the job appropriately, it's a great place just to drop bow strips there and save for later. So I'm going to switch over to Joe's camera angle, and we'll come up to the table. I want to show you a nested job. All right. See if I can get this right here too. There we go. All right. You guys got my back. Thank you. So we have this nested job. So what you're seeing here is, I'll pull some of these other scraps that we were laying out earlier off, but what you're seeing here is a 20-inch wide piece of glitter flake or whatever width of material that you purchase in, and we have our t-shirt designs that were already going to be cut, and then we've dropped in some strips for the cheer bow or the spirit bow clear down the length. Now because these are like 30 or 32 inches long, the last thing you'll want to do is waste all this material off to the side. So it's very efficient to kind of nest up different things, and with rectangles it's very easy to nest. Here's an example of a chevron pattern that we dropped in there as well, and I'll trim one of these out. We're going to use that momentarily over at the heat press. and you can just store these. So as we've been sort of preparing for this class and to teach this to you, as we're cutting glitter flake, we're saving the little strips and basically stockpiling an inventory. So we have a bunch of royal blue ones, maroon ones, red ones that we've just saved. And it's not important that the glitter stays to the carrier. What I recommend doing is you're basically going to, after you cut it, you're going to peel it away. Now you won't want to get crazy with how fast you tear this because you don't want the glitter flake material to kind of rip. We're just going to work our way down here. Peel it from the carrier. This is ultimately going to end up over on my ribbon anyways, and then I can, fold it in half however I want to store them and just create a box of all my different lengths and sizes and colors. That way I'm not wasting material that I'm never going to use again. So that's one option. So nest stuff up, cut it, create your graphics, and then ultimately we're going to end up over at the heat application step of the process. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. So Jenna, you can kind of explain these. We've pre-cut the smaller pieces as well. And what are these going to be used for?
Those are going to be used for the center of the bow.
Okay, so you can even do small strips as well. Is this, how wide are these, do you know, 5/8?
3/8.
3/8 inch. So 3/8 inch ribbon is purchased for the center of the bows. Of course, you can just tie the ribbon off, or you can use the ribbon as is, or you can heat apply glitter to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the glitter down. Okay, onto the ribbon. Now it's always best if you have a cover sheet that you can apply it onto. So while we're getting a cover sheet, I'm going to lay out a couple more options. So more or less, instead of getting this down on the quick slip pad protector that's underneath here, I'm going to sandwich the piece in between cover sheets. So actually lay it onto the cover sheet and then get ready to position it. So as we're waiting on that, let me grab another component here and lay it out. So this is our 8-inch strip of ribbon. This is our chevron pattern. It's okay if it exceeds the edge a little bit. We can always trim that up in the actual application. And then I'm going to heat apply it down. The carrier is protecting this one, so I can heat apply this one without a cover sheet. Peel the backing off. So now I have the chevron pattern on top of this for my bow tie bow, 8 inches long. So Jenna will work to kind of trim that one up and prepare it as I heat apply the next few. Okay, I have my 2 cover sheets now. So just because I don't want to get adhesive on this bottom pad that's going to transfer over when I run a shirt job, I always just run with an extra cover sheet on this. And of course, if you're really good at this, you can lay out a whole bunch of them and heat apply them all at once. I actually have some decorators that prefer to just iron them. That's up to you. I prefer to just do one at a time. It only takes 10 seconds while I'm getting the next one ready to go. So the particular ribbon styles that we're using here, do you want to speak to that, Jenna, a little bit?
Sure. So we are using the gross grain ribbon. It's best for applying the glitter flake because it has some texture to grip onto when you're heat applying it. You can also use satin. That's one of the other ribbon materials we use for one of the spirit wear bows.
Good. So the particular one I'm applying now to this 1.5 inch gross grain, she's already cut the sort of spikes at the edge of the bow, so I know where to do this placement. I just heat applied the glitter flake. I cut a small initial out, and we're just going to show you a personalized option on this one once she gets to tying them. We have another small one here. So we just happen to have the polka dotted ribbon, but we want the actual navy glitter effect. So it's often best to match, unless you want a contrasting color palette, it's best to match the color of glitter to the color of ribbon. That will, if there's any sort of imperfections off in the alignment, it won't show. Okay, so that one's good. And then there's one more, which is the most challenging one for last. So we have a concept here for a two-tone option. So I'm going to reach through and grab this sample. So this one, of course the title is glitter bows, but we're actually going to apply a metallic base material on this one as well. So we're going to do a two-tone. We're going to do glitter on half. And then this is fashion film in metallic silver. So I'm going to heat apply that down. As I mentioned, you can inset the heat transfer film a bit if you want to see the edge of the gross grain ribbon in the back or the satin ribbon. You can allow for a little bit of overage on the heat transfer film, or you can try to match it up exactly. That's up to you. So you can see this edge didn't apply down because it was hanging off the edge of my plait, and we're going to trim that off anyways, so that's not going to be a big deal. And then I'm going to trim this big strip of glitter to size for this two-tone. Try to match it up exactly there, and then I'll just trim on this side. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to make our final cuts with the actual ribbon and the glitter when they're combined together. There's a question. Go for it.
Yes. Is the temperature determined based off the material that is being pressed on?
The material, the temperature for the actual application settings is determined based on the heat transfer film you're using. It doesn't have anything to do with the satin or the gross grain. The glitter, for instance, applies at 300 to 320 degrees for 10 to 15 seconds, and that will be the same on any material. So you want to cover it with a cover sheet. I'm just going to lift it up to make sure I didn't slide my glitter at all, and then hit it for the full application on that half. And as I mentioned, there's, well, maybe I didn't mention, there's thermal tape as well that can help you if you actually want to lay out your components off of the press and then bring them onto the press already taped together and then just finish them off. So that one will be for our larger bow. And the reason I used a cover sheet over top that time is because there was no carrier sheet protecting the actual glitter film. So that covers a little bit about cutting the glitter flake to length. Jenna's going to trim up the ribbons. As far as heat application goes, just follow your normal application instructions. You can do patterns, full bleeds, or initials, and then she is going to teach you a little bit about tying, and this part's going to take a fair amount of time at the table, so I'm going to do my best to switch camera angles here. Alright, so we're on 1 there and 3 here, and we'll zoom in to get you a close-up view of the table while she's walking you through these steps.
So when cutting the bows, if you want to do a design on the end of them, typically you can do spikes, you can cut it in a diagonal, however you want to do it, but typically I just fold it in half, cut a diagonal so that you can have the spikes. You can see that this ribbon's already done and pretty much everything else doesn't need to be cut just yet. But we are going to move over to the components for everything you need to make the bow. So you already have your glitter flake that Josh showed you. You can cut it up in any of the designs that you want. Here we have an E for the personalization we're going to use. We have all of our barrettes, whether it be the English barrette, the alligator clip, and your plastic barrettes, whatever is going to be easier for you to use for your bow. So then we have the ribbons, cut the size. You're going to need a ruler, some scissors, some extra glue. We also have some bags here for putting your bows in when you're done, and your lighter. Oh, and also your craft wire. This is going to be used for tying the center of the bow before you hot glue the center ribbon down. So what we're going to do is start with the baby bow, which is the first bow on the list to make. So we're going to take our 3/8 ribbon and our strip for the middle. Okay. So your first step, if you want the polka dots to be the main part of the bow, you're going to want to flip it over so that whenever you're folding it around that they show. So you're going to take the end of the ribbon and loop it around and bring it across to your right side and hold it in place. You're going to take the end of the other side of the bow, size the loop, make sure you're working with it a little bit to make sure the loops are even. You're going to take this part of the bow here and slide it in between the two pieces that are already together so that that holds the center of the bow.
And for those of you that don't have your ribbon trying this while she's doing it, rest assured this is recorded and it'll be archived on demand so you can play this back and go back through the steps that Jenna's teaching you.
So you're going to take the last section and loop it around just like you did with the other ones. Hold it in the middle just so you can play with the loops a little bit to get it to the size that you want it to be. You're going to take it and just fold it down. Don't worry about certain lengths not meeting up. You can always cut the excess material off so you don't have to worry about things not looking similar on each side. You're going to take your craft wire and try to put it in the center as much as possible. I know that's where your fingers are. It does get pretty tedious. Try to hold that in there as tight as possible and wrap as tight as possible so that it holds the shape of the bow. I'm going to cut your wire. And tighten the wire so that your bow doesn't lose shape. So you can kind of see that things aren't exactly the same on each side, so you can just fool around with it a little bit. Make sure you're moving it around so that you can get the size that you want on each side, and then you can cut the edge of your ribbon. And then do the diagonal on these ones. Try to size them up as much as possible. So that's the main part of the bow so far. We are going to take the lighter and light the edge of the ribbon so that you're not going to have any fraying. You don't want to hold it on there too long, just really quick so that it gets the rest of the fraying material. So now it's time for the center part. So you're going to take your hot glue gun and put it down in the center of the bow. And press down with the glitter flake strip. Hold it long enough so you think it dries. Hot glue does dry fairly quickly, so you don't have to hold it too long. You are going to cut these strips down so that You can attach it to your barrette. Now, whenever you're attaching your barrette, the hot glue doesn't tend to stick well to the surface of this. So you are going to take a small piece of your 3/8 gross grain ribbon and just heat glue it down there. This will just make sure that it's nice and secure whenever you're heat applying it to the bow.
And that happens on every bow, correct, to attach that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so you can actually prep some of those in advance.
Heat glue it again and press your bow down. Now you do want to apply a little bit of pressure because you want to make sure that the glue is going to hold up pretty well. Okay. Now we need to glue the center ribbon down, so you're going to clip this open and glue down in the center of the barrette. When you do that, you're going to put one dot down and then push the ribbon through so that it gets a nice hold in there. And you'll do the other ribbon too.
So while she's finishing up holding this bow, if we can launch another poll question real quick, is how many of you actually have used glitter flake heat transfer material before? Are you currently using glitter heat transfer? Take a second while she's wrapping up this bow to answer that. And then we'll show you a look at the finished product. A couple more seconds. All right, we'll close that off. So it looks like 85% roughly of the audience is using glitter heat transfer material. So on this particular one, we just used it for the center. We'll show you some other ones that we just kind of completed in advance. You see we duplicated this one. And then you have the Columbia blue one, and mixing and matching colors. Feel free to get creative here. There's like 40 colors of glitter flake, and I'm sure unlimited colors of gross grain ribbon. So this is a good example of a baby bow. And what would you say something like this would sell for?
I've seen it for 5 to 7. It's a smaller bow, so.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the next bow we're going to move on to is the bow tie. This is fairly simple. So all you'll need is your 8 inches of a 1.5 ribbon that Josh already heat applied the design down to. And then for the center of the bow, we're going to use our 3/8 ribbon, roughly 8 inches as well. So you're going to flip it over so that when you fold it over, the design is outward. So your first step, you want to hot glue the edge of this. Fold it in half and press down.
This is my favorite because I think I could even do this one. For those just starting, this one's a little bit lower on the level of difficulty, I would say.
Okay. Now that that is attached, you're going to try and center that up as much as possible. And to fold this down, what you're going to do is fold here and then bring it back and fold again.
So it's kind of like just in half, or it's more like an accordion?
So I'll do it again. You're going to fold it in half and then fold it back at both of the edges.
Okay.
So yeah, more or less an accordion. Take your wire and wrap it around as tight as possible. Now you don't have to use craft wire for this. I've seen people use thread. I just think wire is something that's a little easier to work with. Try to adjust that to the center as much as possible. So just like the last bow, we're going to glue the center of it, where we're going to place our 3/8 ribbon. Now you can either lay it flat or you can tie it in a knot, whichever you want to use to make a different look. I'm just going to lay it flat for this one. Okay, now we're going to attach the barrette. Again, you want to take a little piece of your gross grain ribbon. You can just cut it off of this. We're going to be cutting it anyway, and use that for the top of your barrette.
And for those of you, a couple chatting in questions about a supply list, we'll definitely pull up a slide with a supply list that you can screen capture. And then we will also, in the cost calculation portion towards the end, we'll go through what these things cost and where some sources for some of it.
You're going to put the glue gun, or the glue with your glue gun, on the top of the barrette and place it down on your bow. Again, you want to put a lot of pressure because you want to make sure this thing's going to hold to the wire and the bow itself. So I'm going to cut these down so that they'll be able to fit through the barrette. Take your glue and put it in the center of the barrette just like the last bow. And push your thread through and hold down.
Now I know we're going to get to a ponytail here shortly, but somebody was just asking, are you going to show a ponytail? If we wanted to do a ponytail instead of a clip to that one, will we just, at what point in the process?
It would be the same process. You just wouldn't be attaching any gross grain down to it, but you would hot glue it down and then put the ribbon right over top of it, and I'll be showing you that with the spirit bow.
Okay.
Here's the finished look of the bow tie bow.
And so just quickly, a total materials cost on that bow tie bow, I'll walk through it specifically, but it's about 47 cents in the materials cost itself. Most of the cost, calculating about 4 or 5 minutes to make at $10 per hour labor, is 67 cents in labor cost. Let's say you have a 10% overhead if you're doing this sort of out of the home, add 11 cents to that. So all in, you're making that for $1.25. And what do you think we can sell that one for, Jenna?
It's about the same price as the baby bow. You might be able to go up a little bit. I range it between $5 and $7. It is a little bigger than the baby bow, though, so you can see it's sold for more.
Yeah, a little higher perceived value, especially with the pattern and everything. Maybe
Absolutely.
Push it up a little bit. So it's so about making $5-6 per bow. It's not too bad when you look at making over $1 for every minute of your time. I like those numbers. Okay. Well, let me throw on, I'm sorry, before we leave that one, I just throw on some finished samples here. So this is another one with, that's the knot technique, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the knot technique here, and then here's full glitter on those two options. And these things sparkle. I'm not sure if that's coming across on camera, but those of you that work with glitter flake know this stuff pops, especially when it's on a dance stage or something. It's you can see it.
Yeah, as soon as the light hits it, it really pops. So we're going to move along to the pinwheel bow. You can see that Josh heat applied the E on there for a little bit of customization. So what you want to do so that you have it ending up on the right place of the bow, you want to make sure it's face down when tying so that when we wrap it around, it ends up on top of the bow. So make sure whenever you start, you're not starting with this. So this works a lot like the baby bow. It's the same process, just with the 1.5-inch ribbon. So you're going to make your loop and bring the end of the ribbon down to your right. Mess with it a little bit so that you get the size of the loop that you want. You're going to take your other end and wrap it around. hold it in place. I'm going to take this part and push it in between the two that are already crossing. Hold that in place. And I didn't do this right, so let's start over.
Reset.
Sorry, guys.
Forget everything we just taught you. We'll
Okay.
edit that out of the final video.
So let's quickly try to see where this is going to end up, because I tried to do this earlier and it worked. Okay, there we go. I don't know what happened. Okay, so get your loop how you want it. Cross it over. Push it in between the two that are already crossed. And bring it around. Make sure you mess with it a little bit so that you can get the loops the size that you want. Okay, so it's going to be the same process that I just showed you for the bow tie. When folding it down, you're going to take it in the middle, fold it, and then push the two back. You're going to take your wire and wrap it around the center of the bow.
And Jenna, we're starting with 30-inch ribbon, is that correct?
32.
32-inch long ribbon.
One good thing about using the wire as well is that afterwards you can move it around a little bit to try to get the bow looped around the way that you want, the size and everything. You can kind of push it around just so you get the look that you want. And again, if you have excess material, you can just cut it again so that it's matching this side as well. Shorter.
So sharp scissors, very important. I see that.
Very. If you're using something dull, it's going to make it very hard for cutting, and you're going to see more fraying with the ribbon.
You probably want to have different scissors than what you use to cut your glitter flake, because those usually get all sticky when you're trimming apart designs.
Yeah.
So.
You're going to take your lighter and put it up against the bow a little bit, just so you can reduce the fraying. So we're going to do the center of the bow. We're going to use the 3/8 ribbon again that Josh heat applied for us to match the E that's customized on the bow. So we're going to hot glue the center again and press down and hold until you think it's dry. Going to grab a barrette. And do the same process that we did for the other ones. You don't have to use hot glue when doing this. It's just something I recommend because it cuts time down because it dries so quickly. Hot glue where you want your barrette to go. Press down. Now the barrette's going to have a little more hot glue than the front of the bow will, so you're going to want to hold it a little bit longer and apply a little more pressure so that it stays.
I could really see something like this being big for like birthday parties, gift giving, those sorts of applications for initials.
Yeah, definitely. you're going to cut your ribbon down. And as Josh said earlier, you don't have to use the 8-inch ribbon for this. You can cut it down or cut it with your cutter shorter so that you don't have to worry about wasting that ribbon or glitter flake for that matter. So you're going to hot glue on the barrette and press down. Make sure you get your glitter flake underneath there. Cut this a little bit so that it doesn't get in the way of the other ribbon.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I know you want to back the glitter with the ribbon in all parts of the process is just to give it stability. For anybody that's weeded or worked with glitter flake before, you know it's prone to want to tear, and the last thing you want to do is spend this time making a nice, beautiful hair bow, and it goes out there on the person that's wearing it, and you start to have components of it tear.
Yeah. It's very difficult if it doesn't have the ribbon underneath it as well, if you want to have the look in the middle of the bow to be the knot that we showed you earlier. So this is the finish.
All right, let's talk about how much money we can make on that one. What do you think?
So it can range anywhere between 8 and 10 because of the size of the bow and the customization on there. I mean, you can go up from there even, but definitely is like a starting point anywhere between $8 and $10.
Okay, my math here in the calculator shows it, depending on whether it's full glitter or just a little bit of glitter with an initial, it costs anywhere between $2 and $2.50 to make. So we're talking about roughly $6 to $7 in profit per bow. And I want to point out one of my mistakes, since I messed this one up, is you noticed how the glitter is a little bit off in the application of the ribbon. For that reason is one of the reasons, you know, you'd like to cut that glitter just a little larger. It won't hurt anything if it was overlapping the edge a little bit, but when it's off slightly, I mean, you can just pick up on the details, and that's another reason why you probably want to match your glitter color to your ribbon color where possible. Okay, let's show you a couple another looks in that style before we go to the last style here. So here's another just initial one that's similar to what we just did. Couple different colorways with the knots tied. Here's a full glitter option. I really like this one with the fluorescent pink glitter flake on pink gloss green with a, I guess that's black silver glitter in the center, it looks like. And the silverish color that we've been using is the hologram silver. It tends to pop and give you that rainbow sparkle. And here's one in this style with sort of a zebra or some sort of random pattern to it in black glitter on red. So you start to think once again about sales opportunities and team colors, and you know, you can get some pretty cool two-tone color applications with this, or three-tone actually, between the center, a pattern, and the ribbon color itself. All right. Any questions, Jody, as we're kind of going through here? No, we're good.
Okay. So we are getting to the spirit wear bow, also known as a cheer bow. I'm doing it in 3 inches. We'll be showing you shortly that you can also do it in 2 inches as well. And this is where we're going to put the hair tie in there. So we'll start off. This is a rather large bow, so we need some more room. We're going to start off with your metallic and glitter or any other design that you desire face down. And you're going to cross it over so that you make an X. And make sure in this process you are matching up each side so that you know that the loops are going to be the same size. Just kind of eye it up the best that you can. Once we wrap the wire, you'll be able to adjust it how you want it. So you're going to take the top and the bottom and just scrunch it together. There's really no certain way you have to do it. Because it's a thick fabric, you just scrunch it up as much as possible and hold. Let's see if my loops are the same size there. And wrap it with the wire.
Yeah, I assume the wire's really good here because you need something a little stronger to hold all that fabric
Yeah.
and material together. What's the length of this one? Is this 32?
Is 32 as well.
Okay.
Now you may not want the cheer bow or spirit wear bow to be this big. So if you want to go down to like 26 to 30 inches of the bow for a smaller look, that's fine too. Whatever size that you're trying to aim for, you can obviously cut it down smaller. You're going to cut your wire. And adjust the bow how you want it to look.
So with cheer bows, is it the bigger the better? To our resident cheerleader here?
That's how I've seen it.
Okay.
I know our bows were really big on our heads.
Okay.
So this is where I like to get the three-tone look, and my favorite way to do the center of the bow is to knot it. You can use bigger ribbon if you want it to have a bigger center. I use the 3/8 ribbon.
So you just tied a knot literally in the ribbon before you put her on?
Yeah.
See, I thought you tied that together at the end. That's
No.
slick.
So hot glue the center just like you have for the other bows, and press the knot down as much in the center as you can get it. Now we're going to attach the hair tie, and you want to put the dab of hot glue down first, and kind of just take your ponytail holder and hold it there for a little bit so you can secure it there while you're trying to get your other ribbon hot glued on there.
Jody, while we're kind of waiting and wrapping this one up, let's type in the sizes for everybody because I know there seems to be a lot of questions on that. So if you can chat to all the audience, the bow tie bow is 1.5 inch wide by 8 inches.
Cut your ribbon. Sorry.
The 1.5 by 8 for the bow tie, and then for the pinwheel, it's 1.5 by 32. And then for the cheer bow, it's 3 inch or 2 inch by 26 to 32 inches. So the one we're doing right now is 3 inch by 32. And then the baby bow, what was that? That was the 3/8 inch by
8 inches.
8 inch.
Now, spirit wear bows seem to go through a lot between dancers and cheerleaders, so you really want to make sure you are getting enough hot glue on there to make sure this is going to be a secure bow. They are going to be wearing it in their ponytail. They'll be moving around a lot, so you just want to make sure it's very secure.
Good. Yeah, and I guess if you don't have glitter or the knot on the center ribbon, you could actually loop it several times around there as well to get a little more security.
And that's the finished look.
Which is awesome. It's the metallic silver fashion film with the black and silver glitter flake. And I know we had completed this sort of as like a matching outfit look, which is a nice sales opportunity for bows. So I don't know if you want to show that look.
So we matched this to go with the design that we cut earlier, where you can see that we nested all the glitter flake together. And we did the metallic and black glitter black and silver glitter to match the design that we completed here earlier with a bag and t-shirt.
Yeah, so that's called completing a sale and pushing up your average price. So don't just merchandise the t-shirt on the website, put together a package that has a whole kit. And this is often how you can push up your profits, really, and your sales volumes. People are liking this one, Jody? Okay, good. All right, and then we'll show you the other two 2-inch wide ones that Jenna completed earlier as samples, or is this 3-inch wide?
This is 3-inch and this is 2-inch.
Okay, so we have one 2-inch wide to show you the smaller version. Once again with the black ribbon center. And then we have a 3-inch version with a black glitter center. Can never get enough bling, right? And I'm sure you could, now you can't apply rhinestones directly on top of glitter material, but you could always get creative with your design work and leave some glitter off at the bottom, put rhinestones on the actual gross grain itself, and do some pop that way. There's a lot of different things in creativity. So how much can you sell this one for, you think?
Well, if you're going to get a 2-tone look like the one we just did, or even 3-tone with the center being black as well, I would say 25 or more.
Okay.
Now, if you want to just do these simple looks, this will be anywhere between 15 and 20. It is a smaller version, and this is 20 or more as well.
Okay, so good. So let's just say a selling price of approximately $20 per bow. All in material cost on that one, we're looking at, with labor overhead, 10% overhead percentage and everything, we're looking at around $350. So we're talking anywhere between $15 and $20 profit per bow. Mm-hmm. So 10 minutes well spent, right? If you compare it with an apparel outfit where you're pushing up profit even more, now we're talking about huge opportunity here. Well, are there any questions on the actual bow making for Jenna before we go into this sort of cost calculator here? Jody?
No questions.
Okay, you guys can keep them coming in. Let's switch over to my computer screen here, and I want to walk through some costing info and components. Okay, so just to go through some basic components, basically this is a cost calculator, and the formulas on this one aren't such where I can provide this to you and you can punch them in. If you're familiar with Excel, you can make changes to this. I'm happy to provide this to anybody that wants it, but it's not as easy as our other cost calculators at this point. We have to develop it further. But having said that, I'll email it to you. If you want it emailed to you, just let me know, and I'll walk you through some of the stuff here. So we're starting in the sort of cell A2 here with all of our components. So here we've loaded all the components necessary to make hair bows, and we have glitter flake material, and we've calculated the roll price for a 20-inch wide roll length. Ultimately, we're trying to get to a per square inch price for the actual material. Of course, you can save money as you go larger in rolls. We put in 3-inch satin ribbon, which is what we're using on our cheer bows. The roll price for a 25-yard length, and we're getting down to a square inch price, which is the main goal. And then we have our 1.5-inch gross grain, as well as our 3/8-inch gross grain. I have tool on here as well, which was used, can be added to any of these bows, I guess, as a finishing step when you're wrapping your center to kind of affix sort of a sheer tool look. In addition to this, we've added our different clip options, whether it's a 2 1/4 inch or 1.5 inch clip, the hair bands, the bags, you name it. So we have all those component costs here. And Paper Mart is a really good vendor that I know a lot of customers have used for ribbon, where you can get it in bulk at pretty good price points. So that's an option there. Or you can get it at a local craft store, of course, as you're practicing. So we take all that information from the cost table and we roll it back up into our main tab, which calculates the cost of each. So I'll unhide it for those of you that aren't accounting majors, which I'm not either, but those of you that aren't into math that much, this may be a little bit too much for you, but for those that are, let me just walk through this. So all we did is we put a primary cut width for the glitter material for each particular style of bow that we wanted to show you here today. With that, we put a little bit overage for waist as well. So instead of 1.5 inches, you see 1.625 inches wide. We also did the primary cut length, so you see the 32-inch long bows for the pinwheel and the spirit bow, and the 8-inch long on some of the other ones. We also put the wrap cut width for what's actually going around the center of the bow and glitter in the length. Depending on how much you actually need, you can change all these inputs and numbers. Ultimately, it takes that sort of square inch calculation and kicks it out to a glitter cost, wrap glitter cost, primary ribbon cost, and wrap ribbon cost for everything. And at the end of the day, it adds in, the clip component. Depending on what you're creating here, you'll have to add in, change your formulas to include either the clip or the hairband. If you're using a bag to give it out as a finished product, it adds that extra touch to it. You can include that as well. And then we get to what matters, which is our finish cost. So let me hide some of that for now. And we get our finish cost. So there's some inputs here. Back on the cost table tab, below all these components, there's a place to input your hourly rate for whoever is making your bows. Make sure you pay them. And then the overhead percentage for your particular shop. So let's just say Jenna's really good at making bows, and we're going to pay her $15 an hour. And the overhead percentage for our store, because maybe we have a storefront, is something like 20% instead of 10%. So I'll push these up a little bit just for perspective. If I go to the overview with all those components, it clicks out your material cost. You can punch in your minutes to make each bow. Obviously, if you're good, this will come down over time. But even if it takes you 10 minutes to tie it because you're not as crafty as the next person, you can put 10 minutes in there. And then once you look across, it'll kick out a labor cost, materials cost, ultimately apply your overhead percentage, and you'll get the total cost for making that bow. You can input your selling price, and then ultimately you get your profit per sale. Now, if you run a small business, we talked about this yesterday for those of you that were in the top challenges of startup decorators. You know your time is very important, and you almost need to measure your profitability based on profit per hour, in this case profit per minute. So all we're doing here is taking the profit per sale by the amount of time it takes to make each bow and calculating a profit per minute. Based on this simple math, I can gear my sales efforts to the bows that are going to make me the most money, which in this case, of course, the winner is the Spirit or the Cheer bow. So if I'm going to try to land business, I'm going to show that sample first, and most prevalently, I'm going to try to push out and develop opportunities for the bows that make me the most money. Okay? Or if I'm looking to just do a large quantity, I can do a lot of bow ties over the course of an hour because those are really easy to make. So this is just quick cost, but ultimately you see, even with a high labor rate and overhead, you can still make upwards of $5 per bow, and even more once you push up into the special effects style. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in your business with your time. Making hair bows is one that will kind of differentiate you. So let's switch back out to the main cam. Let me switch my angle here because I think I'm still on Joe. All right, we're good. Okay, and we'll take some questions, and then we're going to kind of brainstorm some sales opportunities and take a kind of a Q&A session here and close today's class. Any questions coming through, Jody?
A lady would actually like to see the shirt, bag, and bow again. If you
Okay,
can put it on Joe. She wants a screenshot.
She wants a screenshot? Okay, we'll get you a good angle here. See if I can get you on two there. There we go. You know what, Joe? Let me lay that out on the table real nice, because then we can get all three components. So we'll go over to the flat table. Thanks, after you stretched your cord clear across, right? Take those two. And this will give you all an opportunity to kind of screen capture this, and we can even take a photo and post it up on Stahls TV. This would pop more off here. There we go. So there you go. That'll be just a sales opportunity. You can use those images to go out and land your first sale for glitter hair bows and whatnot. All right, we good? All right, what other questions, Jody? No additional questions? Okay, so let's just brainstorm a little bit about where somebody would go to drum up business for these bows, or what sorts of opportunities are out there. I know one that, immediately hit my mind, and I mentioned it during the sessions, were like birthday parties and whatnot. So whether, you want to find the right contact, if you have a retail sort of space where you can find the right customer, mom, gift giver, whatever it might be that wants to do these hair bows for everybody in the class or different birthday parties throughout the year. I mean, that's one idea.
Mm-hmm. Now, there are some other ideas as well. You can make bows for seasonal ideas, whether it be spring or fall. Venues are always happening. If you want to do like a craft and art show and go there and be one of the vendors there, you can show some of the things that you do, and that'll give you another opportunity to really get out there with some of the new things you're doing with your business.
Yeah, so like seasonal colors, that's a good one. So like I know that when we even track the sales volumes of glitter materials, you see like in spring, it's amazing. You see the fluorescent pink, the fluorescent purple, all the sort of pastel colors sort of go through the roof. So even merchandising, maybe on your Facebook page and posting images of those styles of bows. Right now, with the holiday coming up, I would think red, white, and blue. We should be showing that and placing stuffs for picnics and cookouts, especially if you have a retail audience. For those of you that are attending, if you want to chat out ideas and share them with the group, we would welcome that. Are they coming in, Jody? All right, give us some ideas. Mic up there.
Cheerleaders want names. Do a cut out of their name in the glitter so that the ribbon can show through.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so like a reverse weave. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, any other ideas? Keep them coming.
Local school sports, boosters, booster moms.
Yeah, booster moms. Those are all good ideas. For those of you that have a website, you can actually run an AdWords program based on a geographic location. So in theory, I'll throw out an example. Let's say it's you want to sell them at a local college, and let's say it's West Virginia Mountaineers, who it's noticeably gold and navy blue. Not that I'm going to print a West Virginia logo on there, and you shouldn't unless you have the license for it, but I can merchandise in that area those colorways for bows. So I can do a two-tone in those colors and run an AdWords campaign specific to that region. And then you can duplicate that for whatever colleges you want to target based on just school colors. What else, Jody?
Nothing else.
All right. Well, those are a few ideas to get you started. We hope you enjoyed the Stahls TV class. Jenna, you did a nice job on your rookie appearance.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, so I only burnt myself on the glue gun once. I'm not sure if you caught that on film. But anyways, we appreciate you coming. Please take time to fill out the survey. At the end of the class, we always value your feedback, and log on to stahlstv.com to watch this recording and upcoming videos on how you can do more with glitter hair bows in this part of your business. Thanks for watching.